Welcome back to Carneades.org. Today we're going to be continuing with our series, Dumbfounding Definitions, Dizzying Distinctions, and Diabolical Doctrines, a series sorting through some of the jargon of philosophy. In this video, we're going to be answering the question, what is humor in the philosophy of art? Of course, in honor of April Fool's Day being yesterday. Don't worry, this video is not a joke, but we may attempt to make some jokes there within. Descartes walks into a bar. The bartender asks if he would like a drink. He says, "I think not," and disappears. Now, although humor plays an important role in many people's lives, philosophers generally don't like it. Though it might seem important for a life well lived, historically many philosophers have held humor as not merely irrational, but unethical as well. In this video, we're not going to examine all of those arguments for and against humor. We're just going to start with the basics and explain kind of the four positions that have existed throughout history on the nature of humor. These are kind of some of the four top positions, and hopefully that might give you a bit of a sense of why humor's been unpopular in philosophy, beyond people making fun of philosophers. These include the superiority theory, the relief theory, the incongruity theory, and the play theory. But first, some excerpts from the Uxbridge Dictionary of Philosophy. Disposition, here. See also that position. Metaphysics, what one might exclaim upon meeting a branch of science. And theodicy, companion piece to the Iliad. One of the oldest positions on humor is the superiority theory of humor, put forward by Hobbes but traceable to Descartes and even Plato. This claims that humor arises from feeling superior to something else. We might laugh at the previous definitions because we think it's funny that someone might think that metaphysics is what you say when you meet physics. I'm metaphysics. And we're laughing at someone that we would conceive of as being so stupid to think that. We're feeling superior to them. We're feeling smarter than them. We actually know what that means. So we are laughing at them. This theory that laughter degrades something or someone dominated thought for around 2,000 years and led in part to some of the bad reputation of humor. If you believe that the only thing that is making something funny is you feeling superior to something else, or the only humor we have is this kind of derogatory humor that attacks other people, it seems that you could have a good case that's saying that humor maybe is a bad thing. Defenders of this theory might cite such things as fat jokes, blonde jokes, and even racist jokes as modern examples that we still find being superior to someone else funny. This position has been tempered by some who claim that superiority can give rise to humor, but it's not the only mechanism. I give you now a limerick by Samuel Reckless, who writes many, many philosophy limericks. I highly suggest you check them out. 'Twas an old Epicurean sheep who thought death was no different from sleep. As he lay down to die, to his friends he did cry, "Boy, I sure hope this nap ain't too deep." Another theory offered around the turn of the century by Sigmund Freud and Herbert Spencer focused more on the biology of laughter. They claimed it was a release of tension or nervous energy. In the previous example, you might have had a sense of stress from the kind of professionality of the first four lines of the limerick, while the last line turns that on its head and gives you that relief of actually being kind of relaxed or jovial. While listening to a joke, that tension builds throughout the setup, and the punchline hits you and relaxes the tension. Now, the tension can arise through our concern, our worry about the state of events that are happening. Many times in stand-up comedian routines, you will see someone kind of building tension or building what might seem to be a concerning situation and then turning it into something that actually turned out to be funny or enjoyable. Or even the rhyme scheme of a limerick, for example, or a common structure. A rhyme scheme, we want it to be resolved. We want that last rhyme to hit. A common structure like a knock-knock joke, we want to get to that last point. We know where it's going. We want that tension to be released. And we anticipate it's going to be completed, similar to how we have the feeling of anticipation when hearing an unresolved chord or progression of chords in music. Laughter comes as a release at the punchline or a conclusion of the joke, just as we feel the same release when we reach the end of a book or hear that final chord in a musical piece. As with the superiority theory, some claim that this is the only explanation of laughter, that relief is the only thing that gives us laughter, while others claim it is simply one way laughter or humor can arise. A scientist, a priest, and a philosopher walk into a bar. The philosopher questions the nature of bars and thinks about how bars tie into our primitive human nature. The priest, almost intoxicated for a recent smack on his head, considers the bar a gift from God and deems it an omen. The scientist, observing the results, ducks. Another, a priest, a rabbi, and a philosopher walk into a bar. The bartender looks up and says, "What is this, a joke?" This leads us to our third theory of humor, which is the incongruity theory. Kant and later Schopenhauer put forward the beginnings of what is one of the more popular theories of humor today, the incongruity theory. In this view, laughter arises from our expectations being dashed. What we expect and what we are presented with are different. This explains such things as the rule of threes in comedy, where two examples serve to set up an expectation of what will occur next and what will continue to occur, while the third example serves to subvert that expectation. As with the first joke previously, we had kind of an expectation that the person was going to talk about this experience through the lens of their discipline, and in fact, the scientist simply used his discipline to avoid the obstacle. We also, in that first joke, subverted the expectation that we're talking about a physical place, a bar, as opposed to a metal bar that we walked into with our heads. The second joke goes even further to subvert the idea of jokes themselves by setting up the idea of, three people of particular professions walk into an establishment and they each do something and then the third one of them does something that's out of line. It in fact says, look, we're setting up this joke. We're going to subvert your expectations that this is a joke in the first place and comment on the nature of jokes. The greater the distance between our expectations and the result, the funnier the joke, or so this theory would claim. A renowned philosopher was held in high regard by his driver, who listened in awe as his boss lectured and answered difficult questions about the nature of things and the meaning of life. Then one day, the driver approached the philosopher and asked if he was willing to switch roles for just one evening. The philosopher agreed, and for a while, the driver handled himself remarkably well. However, when the time came for questions, someone at the back of the room asked, "Is the epistemological meta-narrative you seem to espouse compatible with a teleological account of the universe?" "That's an extremely simple question," the driver replied. So simple, in fact, that even my driver could answer it. The final theory of humor that we will touch on here is the play theory. This claims that laughter is a kind of play sign in conversation or social situations, a demonstration that something that was once thought to be serious is not. This theory kind of plays on sociological ideas about the way we function as social animals. Perhaps in primitive times we would be sitting around a campfire and hear a noise that we thought was dangerous. People would grab their spears and axes and then see it was something that wasn't dangerous, like a bunny approaching, and everyone would start to laugh through that relief of tension, but also through that demonstration to the rest of the group that this is something that's okay. This is not something we have to worry about. This speaks a little bit to why you might have a laugh track in a sitcom. When someone hears other people laughing, they're more likely to laugh themselves. Laughter is a social behavior. So when we're sitting alone watching something on our TV and no one else is laughing with us, it's harder for us to start laughing. This theory can be seen as combining many elements of other theories. If someone is trying to be taken seriously and we laugh at them or make fun of them, we're being superior by making them appear less serious. If everyone is worried about something dangerous, but it turns out to be innocent, we laugh to relieve that tension, to put down our spears, to relax, and signal to the rest of the group it's okay, and that laughter spreads through the group to tell everyone this is okay. And things that don't fit in a pattern are funny because it reminds us we're listening to something that's meant to be comic, not serious. It doesn't follow a pattern. It doesn't follow an expectation like something that's serious would. We're reminding ourselves that this is a joke, this isn't real, this is enjoyment, not something serious. Humor is like a frog. Once you dissect it, it's dead. So what do you think? Why do we laugh? Does just one of these theories ring true, or do they all contribute to laughter in their own ways? Watch this video and more here at Carneades.org. Happy day after April Fool's Day, and stay skeptical, everybody.